Today on Crunch Week, we're talking about Microsoft's massive layoffs, Airbnb's controversial new logo, and Yo raising even more money. Hey there, I'm Colleen Taylor.
Hi, I'm Sarah Burr.
And I'm Alex.
And let's get started with some sad news from Microsoft.
Sad/important news. I mean, layoffs are always very tough, but they often make sense operationally. So in this case, Microsoft, after picking up about 25,000 new employees by buying most of Nokia's hardware assets, really grew their workforce. And they decided to pare that down significantly. About 18,000 layoffs total, 12,500 to the Nokia employees, and then the rest around the business. I've talked to a few guys that work on campus up in Redmond, and they say that the temperature there is actually relatively okay, because there weren't too many layoffs in the Seattle area itself, and especially teams that were already growing are still growing. But Microsoft probably couldn't afford to hit its numbers and keep all those people on staff, and they didn't make sense strategically, and it's tough. It's a lot of layoffs. It's a lot of troubled families down and so forth, but I think that from a cold numbers perspective, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, the one thing I think though is, and layoffs are never easy, ever, especially that many. I think what was kind of notable about it though was the letter that was sent to the people that were being laid off. I mean, it was buried in the 11th paragraph. It was, there was a lot of jargon in there that was like, yeah, get to the point, what is this about? Who cares? Okay. Oh, you're right sizing? Exactly. What does that mean? Oh, we were all being fired. Okay.
If you want to define right sizing, go back and read a bunch of Dilbert from the 90s. No, but there were several different memos.
Who uses that?
Stephen Elop, apparently.
Yeah, it's kind of insulting because you think, we're all adults here, just hit me with the news up front, don't try.
They did that on an individual basis, but you just wince at the number. This is their biggest tranche of layoffs ever, by a factor of almost 3, I think. Yeah. So it's just like zing.
I think it being mostly Nokia softens it a bit and doesn't sound those alarms like, oh, Microsoft is in trouble. It's like they picked up all these people from Nokia. And actually what I had heard, one person, I think it was John Fort from CNBC, he said, the surprising thing is actually that they kept 12,500 still of the Nokia people, because they only laid off about half of them. So that there's still Nokia people who are still working at Microsoft they decided to keep.
Well, they have factories and testing, and they bought a lot of infrastructure that they're going to keep. They can't just fire all those people, right?
Robots.
The people that were working on the Android phone that Nokia was building, probably not very core to Microsoft's future vision. So you can see why they want to excise some of the bodies. But I just hope everyone finds a good new job and the economy is improving enough to allow that to happen.
Yeah, and other layoffs this week as well on a totally different scale, though. ModCloth.
Right. Yeah. So ModCloth, for people who don't know, is it's a women's clothing company online. They do fairly well. They had to lay off about 15% of their workforce, 70 people, which is quite significant. Which is kind of strange because they're still hiring people. It was just I actually don't know the division, but I know that 70 people were let go, and I don't know exactly what was going on there, but again, it's another. You hear rumors here and there of other startups having to lay off people, and you wonder if it's a trend, but it doesn't look like there's some kind of a trend in the industry. It just looks like they're shifting around.
Well, in the early days of fab layoffs, it didn't look like a trend either, and I feel like sometimes it's good to have a cynical view about this and kind of keep it in mind that this could be the first step of many, as opposed to one small correction. Because 70 is a lot of people. That's going to be a whole division there. There could be a sales staff group or a product category.
Yeah, and what's unfortunate about ModCloth is that a lot of the layoffs were in Pittsburgh, which is where ModCloth was originally founded. Yeah, they weren't all here in San Francisco, and here in San Francisco, I think it's relatively easy right now in this really frothy market for people to get another job. Yeah. But Pittsburgh is actually where I'm from. It's my hometown, and it's not as easy to get a job. And to have a job at ModCloth in Pittsburgh is like a great job. So feeling definitely for those people that were affected by that. Anyway.
On that sad and serious note.
On that sad note, Airbnb had some sad news this week. Rebranding of the whole site,
Sad, I don't know if sad's the right answer.
Well, it's sad because the new site is great. I just want to say, I think the redesign of the site in general is great. It operates in a lot better way. I've clicked around it. It looks great. But all of that is kind of overshadowed by their new logo.
What's really funny is when it first came out, I honestly didn't even think about it. It wasn't until people started saying, hey, that looks like a badge, that you can't unsee it.
You really can't.
It's a Rorschach test.
It's horrible. It is.
I think it's like whatever you see in it.
Now people are calling it all sorts of different genitalia, and you can't unsee it. And I wish I could undo all of that, because that's what I look at now.
And this called to mind for me a couple of years ago, stumble upon redesigned their site and got a new logo. And there's a great website called Brand New, and the guy there just does reviews on rebrandings.
Right.
And he's very, very smart at this. But he had thought that the Stumble Upon logo looked like men's genitalia. It looked like a penis. And he said what he always tells designers is when they're all sitting there to look at a new logo and say, does this look like a penis? And if there's any hesitation in the room, then it probably does, and you should find a new logo, because you can't unsee that, and that overshadows it.
Now it's, right.
In the less penis category, though, the World Cup logo looked like a facepalm.
Right.
Right. And they kept it. They were full speed ahead. They didn't care at all. And Airbnb, it seems, is doing the exact same thing here. They're like, you say vagina, we say below. They named it, right?
No, that's actually called the below, which, I mean, they're not even...
What does that even
like, you
mean?
can't make
below
that
the
up.
belt, perhaps?
B-E-L-O.
With a kick on the O, though, right?
Right.
Right, like it's supposed to be fancy?
It's some like Brazilian word or
They
something,
said
I
like
don't know.
a dozen people worked on this for a year. It's a doodle.
No,
like,
I know.
It's a beautiful
they
doodle.
paid good money.
Well, good money or foolish money? Stupid money?
Sure.
Money's money.
Money is money, but it's they paid money for this, and it is a doodle.
Everyone had a lot of fun with it this week. Sometimes when this kind of stuff happens, you wonder if Airbnb knew this. I mean, there's some smart people there, smart people at the branding firm that they hired.
Why was it called the below?
Why did they even stick with this? And it's like maybe they knew that it would kind of catch some attention, and any publicity is good publicity.
That's
More
dumb.
people checking out their site.
I know.
I don't think they wanted Airbnb and vagina just for an entire week. I don't think that's their branding and marketing strategy. Go to market, vagina. Like, no, not so much.
And so we also had a contest on TechCrunch. Well, Airbnb invited people to doodle on their logo, and so we at TechCrunch took it a step further and also invited people to doodle on their logo, but people were a little bit more, I think, crass with the ones that we had, and they published a...
What was our hashtag for that?
I don't remember.
Wasn't it like butt logo?
It was butt logo. So I think that we
it
kind of encouraged the crassness here by saying butt logo repeatedly on Twitter to several million people at a time.
All I have to say is that the tech world's a bunch of pervs.
Agree.
I think the world is a bunch of pervs.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of teenagers.
I'm with you also,
Teenage
Sarah,
minds.
though. I did not look at that the first time and think. I thought it looked like maybe like one of those paper clips or something. I didn't really think, oh, that looks like a
Because we're
butt.
pure-minded,
Yes.
unlike all you other perverts out there.
Right, but definitely a fun week. That's like the definition of some kind of like July news that everyone just jumps on when they have a little bit too much time at work, and everyone...
Well, also this week was so tough in terms of international geopolitical news that I think a lot of us were looking for something that could make us smile and laugh and not be depressed. And I think that may have been a slight lift to the overall pickup of the thing, because it wasn't like, oh, rockets and down planes and invasions. It was a nice distraction, and sometimes it's just good to have.
Another great distraction for recent weeks has been Yo.
Oh, yeah. They announced 1.5 million, and the interesting thing about this is not the 1.5 million. We actually knew that they had already raised 1.2 million, so this is now them announcing that it's actually up to 1.5 million, and they're announcing who those investors were, because a lot of people had speculated that they just kind of made that money up. It wasn't clear who had actually given them money, and it turns out it's Pete Cashmore from Mashable.
All right, can we take a vote? Who thinks this was a reasonable investment? Okay, thank you.
Wait, I had to think about it for a second.
Why?
There was some
You said that too
hesitation.
quickly. You did say that too quickly.
Okay,
Right,
fine.
Go
because
ahead.
I would say if the investment came after this thing blew up and went viral, which it seems like at least part of it did, at least 300,000 of it did.
Right.
The database in itself that they have of people's phone numbers is probably valuable, and they have an installed user base. A lot of people probably still have this on their phone, haven't deleted it. To get that kind of virality is worth, $100,000 to a lot of these investors that have that kind of money to throw around.
Well, and we haven't seen, look, it's like a silly notification app right now, but we don't know what in the future they could possibly use it for. And I also have to say, it wasn't just Pete Cashmore, it was also Betaworks. There's other rumors. Business Insider reported that it was Tencent that also invested.
So it's a wide array of investors.
Yeah.
I call this a cluster fund.
I like that.
Because it's just no one's putting enough money into it to take ownership and provide direction. They're just throwing some cash away and hope that it explodes. It's just money they can afford to lose, and they're betting on a potential unicorn. It's not, I don't know.
Well, that happens a lot. This is not
I'm
the
just being
first time.
derisive.
Party round. But you had actually talked to the founder of Yo this morning, right? On the phone. So you sound a little bit like you're drinking the Kool-Aid here. You're like, come on, guys, let's give him a chance.
Well, no,
He must
That
be
was
very
harsh.
persuasive on the phone. What's he like to interview?
he's actually pretty matter of fact. People have asked me, does he take himself seriously? And I don't think he did at first. He kind of seemed like he thought this was a joke app, and then it blew up. And now you better believe with $1.5 million, he's taking it seriously.
That's true. That's fair and well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just ups the stakes. I guess we'll all be watching Yo. We thought, if you just thought that this is a story that was going to blow up and then go away, I think we'll be at least having a couple other crunch weeks in which Yo is mentioned.
So is his popularity kind of yo-yoing, perhaps? Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't let it go.
That was good. On that note, I think we just got to end it on a high note. With that, thank you for watching, and tune in next week.